Some time ago in the United States, in the Pacific Northwestern state of Washington, a predator, a monster, an abomination began to roam free, hunting, raping, and killing stealthily and remorselessly for 2 decades. Serial killer Gary Leon Ridgway was the abomination. Washington State, located in the Pacific Northwest corner of the United States, is known for its natural beauty, thriving economy, and innovative spirit. Covering about 71,300 square miles, it ranks as the 18th largest state in the nation. It shares borders with Canada to the north, Oregon State to the south, Idaho State to the east, and the Pacific Ocean to the west. The state's capital city is Olympia, while Seattle stands as its largest and most influential city. With a population of around 7.9 million people, Washington is one of the most populous states in the western United States. Its economy is both diverse and dynamic. The state is home to global technology giants such as Microsoft and Amazon, both headquartered in the Seattle area, making technology one of Washington's leading economic sectors. The aerospace industry, anchored by Boeing, also plays a vital role, employing thousands of residents. Beyond technology and aerospace, Washington's agriculture is world-renowned. It is the leading producer of apples, as well as cherries, hops, and wine. The ports of Seattle and Tacoma make Washington a major gateway for international trade, particularly with Asia. Forestry, fishing, and renewable energy are also important contributors to the state's economy. Washington's nickname, the Evergreen State, perfectly describes its lush forests and year-round greenery. The state's landscape is incredibly diverse, ranging from snow-capped mountains and volcanoes to rolling farmlands and rugged coastlines. Mount Rainier, an iconic volcano near Seattle, is the tallest mountain in the state. Washington also boasts a rich cultural life, innovative cuisine, and a strong coffee culture. It's where the first Starbucks opened in 1971. Washington is the only U.S. state named after a president, George Washington. It also produces more apples than any other state, symbolizing its rich agricultural roots. The blend of nature and innovation gives Washington a unique charm, where cutting-edge technology meets breathtaking scenery. It's in such beautiful surroundings that the Green River Killer began his sordid activities. Gary Leon Ridgway was born on February 18, 1949, in Salt Lake City, Utah, United States, to Thomas Newton Ridgway and Mary Rita Ridgway. He was the middle child in a working-class family with 2 brothers, Gregory and Thomas Jr. His father worked as a bus driver, while his mother held various jobs, including as a sales clerk. The family moved to SeaTac, Washington, when Gary was still young, and it was there that he would spend most of his formative years, in the shadow of the future crime scenes that would make his name infamous. Ridgway's upbringing was deeply troubled. His family life was marred by conflict, confusion, and sexual tension. His father frequently complained about sex workers and would tell Gary stories about them, how they were filthy, dirty, or dangerous. Meanwhile, his mother was known to be controlling and domineering with a volatile temper. She often berated her husband and sons, and Gary would later describe being both repulsed and aroused by his mother. He claimed that she would wash his genitals when he wet the bed well into adolescence, a habit he did not outgrow until his early teens. These disturbing experiences reportedly left him with conflicted sexual feelings and deep-seated anger toward women. As a child, Ridgway exhibited troubling behavior. He had a below-average IQ of around 82, struggled academically, and was held back a grade in school. Teachers described him as quiet but strange, often withdrawn and socially awkward. Despite his academic difficulties, Ridgway managed to graduate from Tye High School in SeaTac in 1969. His classmates later recalled that he was unremarkable, neither popular nor disliked, but many would later remember eerie incidents that, in hindsight, foreshadowed his dark future. One of the most chilling events of his youth occurred when Ridgway was around 16. He stabbed a 6-year-old boy in the woods, luring him away from home and plunging a knife into his liver. The boy miraculously survived. Ridgway later said he committed the act simply to see what it felt like to kill someone. Yet the incident never led to lasting legal consequences, a haunting glimpse into a pathology that would later spiral into mass murder. After high school, Ridgway enlisted in the U.S. Navy and served in Vietnam. His time in the service exposed him to the sex trade in Southeast Asia, where he frequently visited prostitutes, a pattern that would persist throughout his life. Upon returning home, he married his high school sweetheart, Claudia Craig, in 1970. The marriage, however, quickly dissolved. Claudia described Ridgway as obsessive, jealous, and unstable. They divorced in 1972 after just 2 years of marriage. Following his military service, Ridgway settled back in Washington and began working as a truck painter for the Kenworth Truck Company, a job he would hold for over 30 years. His co-workers described him as reliable, quiet, and polite, the model of an unassuming working-class man. Few would have suspected that beneath his calm demeanor lurked a sadistic killer. Ridgway married twice more, first to Marcia Winslow in 1973, with whom he had a son named Matthew, and later to Judith Mawson in 1988. His third wife, Judith, described him as affectionate and gentle, saying she felt safe with him and never suspected his secret life. Ironically, many of his murders occurred during their marriage. To neighbors, Ridgway appeared as a devoted husband who enjoyed barbecues, attending church, and maintaining his well-kept suburban home. This double life, ordinary man by day, killer by night, would become one of the defining aspects of his story. Gary Ridgway's murders began in the early 1980s and continued for nearly 2 decades. His crimes first drew police attention in 1982, when the bodies of several young women were discovered along the Green River near Seattle. The victims were mostly sex workers or teenage runaways, individuals living on the margins of society, easy to lure, and less likely to be immediately missed. At the time, Seattle was grappling with a surge in prostitution and transient youth, making it difficult for authorities to identify or track potential victims. Ridgway exploited this vulnerability. He often drove his pickup truck through known sex work areas, offering women money for sex, then drive them to remote wooded areas, sometimes promising a secluded spot for intimacy. Once they were alone, he would strangle them, often with his hands or sometimes with their own clothing. He later said that strangling gave him more control and that he wanted to see the light go out of their eyes. After killing his victims, Ridgway would often dump their bodies in wooded areas, ravines, or near rivers, particularly around the Green River, hence his nickname, the Green River Killer. Many of his victims were discovered nude, and several were found with ligatures still around their necks. Ridgway often returned to the dump sites to have sex with the corpses, engage in necrophilia, sometimes days or weeks after the murders. He admitted that revisiting the bodies provided him with a perverse sense of ownership and excitement. He chose his victims carefully, typically vulnerable young women, often with few family ties. This reduced the likelihood of immediate missing person reports, allowing him to operate largely undetected. The fact that his victims were marginalized individuals also led to public indifference at the time, making police efforts fragmented and slow. Ridgway also displayed an unusual degree of organization and foresight. He would sometimes leave fake evidence or spread bodies across multiple sites to confuse investigators. In one instance, he placed chewing gum and cigarette butts from other people near the bodies to throw off potential DNA tracking, a sign of his cunning and meticulous nature. He later confessed that he viewed the murders as a career. Ridgway said, "Killing was my job. I did it every week. It was my passion." This chilling detachment and industrial-level efficiency led investigators to believe he may have killed more than 90 women. Though he was officially convicted of 49 murders, making him the most prolific confirmed serial killer in U.S. history. The Green River Task Force was formed in 1982 to investigate the growing number of female homicides in King County, Washington. Despite the enormous resources invested, hundreds of officers, psychological profilers, and forensic specialists, the investigation initially yielded little. In 1983, Ridgway was questioned as a suspect after being seen with several victims shortly before their disappearances. Police even took a polygraph test, which he passed. Lacking physical evidence, they released him. Ironically, in 1984, Ridgway was interviewed by the famed criminal profiler John Douglas from the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit, who described him as a likely candidate, a local blue-collar man familiar with the area. But without DNA evidence, suspicions alone were not enough. In 1987, police obtained a search warrant for Ridgway's home and car, collecting hair and saliva samples. However, the technology at the time could not conclusively match DNA evidence. Ridgway continued killing into the early 1990s, then gradually slowed down, perhaps out of fear of getting caught or due to his stable marriage with Judith Mawson. The breakthrough came in 2001 when advances in DNA testing technology allowed cold case investigators to re-examine evidence. Semen samples from several victims matched Ridgway's DNA profile. On November 30, 2001, Gary Ridgway was arrested outside his workplace at Kenworth Truck Company. The quiet truck painter was finally unmasked as the Green River Killer. After his arrest, Ridgway initially denied involvement, but as evidence mounted, he began to cooperate. In a plea deal designed to avoid the death penalty, Ridgway confessed to killing 48 women, later adding more in detailed statements. His confession sessions were chillingly calm and matter-of-fact. He spoke without remorse, explaining that he targeted prostitutes because no one would miss them and because they made it easy. Ridgway led investigators to numerous undiscovered remains, helping families finally locate their missing daughters. During sentencing in 2003, the courtroom was filled with relatives of victims. Many gave emotional statements, expressing anger and pain. Ridgway sat expressionless as they spoke. One father told him, "You have destroyed so many lives." When another woman forgave him, Ridgway briefly broke down and wept, one of the few moments of visible emotion in the entire trial. He was sentenced to 48 consecutive life sentences without parole, plus additional years for tampering with evidence. He is currently incarcerated at the Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla. Ridgway's case was filled with peculiar and disturbing details. He was religious. Ridgway attended church regularly and once joined door-to-door evangelism campaigns while actively committing murders. He reportedly prayed for forgiveness after each killing. Unrepentant reasoning. He told investigators that killing sex workers was a way to save money, since he didn't have to pay them if they were dead. An ordinary face. Colleagues at Kenworth were stunned. One remarked, "He was the guy who'd lend you a wrench, not the guy who'd kill 50 women. Like, share, subscribe.